welcome to another weekly edition of GNY Sports, a side quest of our show, our comedy current events news podcast, Good News York, which airs Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on all of our socials at Good News York, goodnewsyork.com. That is where you can find Good News York and GNY Sports. I'm your host, Mike Brindisi, and you can follow me on all socials at MikeBTV. I do want to thank Rob Ferguson, who hooked me up with some swagola. I got my Cornell soccer hoodie on here. He brought that to me as he was my first guest ever on GNY Sports last week. Hopefully you caught that episode. Just a great interview. He is the head coach of Cornell women's soccer. So best of luck to Rob, and thanks for being on the show. Now, I'm going to get right into it. This is a very football-heavy episode. We're in the thick of the NFL season, so it just makes sense to do that anyway. We're knocking on the door of the playoffs. It's the week of Christmas, so there's a ton of games on during the holidays, so it's very exciting. It wouldn't be an episode of GNY Sports if I didn't kick it off with my weekly rant or rave about the Bills. Now, I should be happy, which I am, that the Bills escaped with a W, but there's a lot of us that are also concerned that it was that close. Allen did not play very well, although he did not have a lot of help. There was a 30, 40-yard bomb to Brandon Cooks, and just like he did, I believe it was last game, completely dropped it. Dawson Knox dropped a pass in the end zone that would have sealed the deal on the game. Concerning? Yeah, that's vintage Knox. Knox had a dropping problem back in the day. Cooks just came off his couch, so I don't know if this was a problem anywhere else. From what I know, he was a really good receiver anywhere he's been. But with that being said, what was kind of different was that the defense actually bailed the offense out instead of the other way around. And the defense had multiple turnovers. Shedeur Sanders played like a fifth-round quarterback. I mean, he was good, but they didn't have too much to worry about on offense. And by the way, the entire offensive line of the Browns was pretty much out, minus one guy, I think was the original starter. So do I think the Bills should have single-handedly beat them? Of course. But I also knew when the season started and I saw that game on the schedule, I was probably one of the only ones amongst my friends that were Bills fans where I said, they're going to drop that one. That's a total Bills move. Cleveland's a tough place to play. The Bills are not playing well on the road, haven't been, even going back to last season. And it's just a Billsy thing to do, to just drop one and play down to a team that on paper is not as good. But one thing I want to make sure you understand that I've said before, can we get rid of people saying, well, you should have crushed them? Or how did they lose to that team? I understand there are upsets in sports and in the NFL, but everybody in the NFL is good. Every team has the ability to beat another team on any Sunday, despite record, despite if it's a divisional game or not. The NFL is a very tough sport to win games in. There's a lot of elements. So, am I upset that they narrowly escaped the Bills? Yes. Or the Browns, excuse me. Yeah, but not as upset as I was earlier in the season. When this kind of stuff would happen, like when they dropped one to Atlanta, or they almost dropped one to Carolina, and I was still angry after that game, even though they won. And that's because this was in the middle of the season, or near the beginning of the season. Fans are still trying to figure out, are they really good enough to make a deep playoff run, or my God, finally win a championship? That's what Vegas says. They're one of the favorites. Well, they certainly don't look like the goddamn favorites. And so you're trying to figure out their identity on offense and defense and where are the holes. And I think by now we know that Brandon Beane dropped the ball on a few positions, wide receiver mainly. We know what to expect out of the offense and defense. And while we might still get surprises here and there, we know. I know they could have played better. I know Allen could have played much better, but they won. And at this point, with 3 games left, now 2 for them, just get out with a W, and they did. I know they're better than that. And I know that Cleveland is a tough place to play. And, that whole thing with Allen doing like the little pirouette and goes back and almost gets a safety, as he's scrambling, which was a moronic move. If you follow the Bills and you follow Allen, you know earlier in the week he had said during the press conference, I don't like to be a part of anybody's highlight reels or, history. And so he did not want to be the one who got sacked to give Myles Garrett the single season sack record. So I'm not making excuses again. It was so unnecessary, but I think that's probably why he turned into sugar high Josh Allen. A couple other things on the Bills, and then I'll get moving along here. The drops. As I said, Allen definitely did not play very well. There were some questionable throws in the fourth quarter. Earlier on, he threw to Shakir, was wide open and missed him. And there was a beautiful 30 or 40-yard pass to Brandon Cooks, who, again, bobbles the ball. He didn't catch it. And then Dawson Knox, vintage Knox, like from his first 2 seasons, like hits him in the hands and he drops it. That's concerning. But we've all known that pass catchers on this team have been an issue since, Allen's got here. But not good. Not good. I think Gabe Davis maybe should have been dressed. And maybe even Keon Coleman, but that's another topic for another day. I do want to praise the coaching. I did talk about this a little bit a couple weeks ago, but I'm really realizing it now. McDermott and Bean have been on the hot seat with Bills fans, as they should, for certain things over the years, particularly 13 seconds. That's one McDermott probably I don't think people have gotten over that. And they just can't get it out of their minds. So ever since then, I would say McDermott's been on the hot seat. And Bean just keeps carving out a spot on the hot seat for himself as this keeps going with poor drafting, poor signing, just poor management. And I love Brandon Bean, but there's a lot to be desired from him in recent months and maybe even years. But I want to say, I think I've realized this slowly over the last, over this season, but specifically over the last few weeks. The reason the Bills are even close to as good as they are is because they're being coached way above the talent that's on that roster. Yes, on offense, you've got James Cook and Josh Allen playing like Batman and Robin, right? I mean, they're phenomenal athletes at their position and in general. So, I mean, that's a huge part of it, too. But you look at that defense, that ragtag defense, and what this coaching staff has had to do to piece it together between injuries and suspensions and just guys not working out that have been drafted. It is, unless you really follow the Bills, you don't realize, man, maybe McDermott should be up for a candidate for Coach of the Year. And I'm dead serious. Because what he has done, him and Bobby Babich have done with that defense, considering everything I just listed, is absolutely amazing. And the fact that, they are hanging they're hanging like when your tooth is loose, when you're a kid, just by a string. And they're making it work, just like Kyle Shanahan does it with the Niners in San Francisco. And I said this before, with McDermott, you are always in it. Just like with Allen, same thing. But it's McDermott too. What they do, the adjustments that team makes, now albeit yesterday was very weird. Yesterday, the Bills were the other way. They were good in the first half and sucked in the second half. But for the most part, the narrative and their story, their identity has always been a second half team. Even if they're winning in the first half, they still turn it on even more in the second half. And a lot of that, if not all of that, is because of whatever the hell goes on in that locker room between McDermott, Babich, Joe Brady, you name it. So shout out to the coaches, because I'm going to tell you what. It's like you take this coaching staff right now away from this team, I don't know. I think they might have 6 or 7 wins. It's like if you took Cornell and Ithaca College out of Ithaca, they'd become Dryden, right? If you took Niagara Falls out of Niagara Falls, it'd be Niagara. And that's how I feel with these coaches. So shout out to the Bills coaching staff. And look at McDermott's record, just minimal losses every season. I don't know if the Bills have had more than 6 losses since Bean and McDermott and Allen have been there. So a lot to be excited about. Moving on, I am making this episode my Santa. I was going to do it as a segment, but I think it's just going to be the rest of the episode because everything I'm talking about is kind of a wish list for me. So I'm going to do, in spirit of the holiday season, it is the Christmas week. I am going to have my Santa wish list for the NFL. And I want to start with the Bengals. Santa, can we normalize recognizing that Cincinnati is an awful franchise? I'm sorry. I apologize to the fans. This is not a knock on you. This is a knock on your organization for giving you false hope every year. And if you really think about it, we're really giving them more credit than they deserve. But let's think about this. The Cincinnati Bengals all-time record includes 3 Super Bowl appearances with 0 wins, 3 AFC championships, 3. They've got division titles, 11 in the history of the organization. And their greatest passer was Ken Anderson. Their all-time leading rusher is Corey Dillon. Their all-time receiving leader is Chad Johnson. I don't know. I just feel like, and this is not a knock on the fans. This is a knock on the organization who are really teasing their fans into believing that, hey, we're one of the greats. No, you're really not. Joe Burrow and the boys are trying to change that. But remember, you had Marvin Lewis from 2003 to 2018. Little bit of a long leash there. Maybe could have cut him loose a little sooner. Also, on my Santa list, Santa, can we also normalize not playing the Bills shout song after a field goal? This is a personal one for me. If you don't know, when the Bills score a touchdown, you have to wait until they kick the extra point or go for the 2-point. And then in the stadium and now at home, us psychopaths play the Bills shout song. I have found that over the years, playing the shout song after a field goal feels like you're getting a Gatorade bath after winning a coin toss. It's just not the same. And I've had it. Also, Santa, I would like to have the NFL review everything. Why? Well, here's a perfect example. The Detroit versus Pittsburgh game. If you didn't see this old doozy, you missed a good one. And I think it is time that we just allow the refs to review everything. And I know what you're going to say. They've tried that. It makes the game too long. It didn't work out. Just listen up. In the final moments of Sunday's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jared Goff threw a pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown in the end zone to take the lead with seconds left in the fourth quarter to pretty much win the game for the Detroit Lions, who are hanging by a thread trying to get into the playoffs again. And it was called back because there was an offensive pass interference call. This offensive pass interference call was on Isaac Tesla. And the argument was that he set a pick on the defenders, which created separation for Amon-Ra St. Brown. The problem with that was, you can see on the replay, he got knocked in to the defenders by the opposing team. So was it? I don't know. It's very debatable. It's very subjective. Well, they get called back. Then, I believe there was a false start, and they got moved back even further. So here we are, last play of the game. He throws another touchdown. It goes to Amon-Ra St. Brown at the goal line. He laterals it back to Goff. Goff dives in the end zone, but there's flags everywhere. They didn't understand what was going on, and they basically called it an offensive pass interference by Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then had this huge meeting and awkwardly said, it was a touchdown, and the place goes crazy. And then they said, but it was offensive pass interference, and the place went, Rrr. And then they said, and because it was the last play and it's an offensive play, it can't be reviewed, game over. The end of the Detroit-Pittsburgh game was like the end of The Sopranos. I can't even imagine the drive home as a Detroit fan after that game. And now they're all but mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. It was such a terrible ending. I want Santa to be able to review everything for that exact reason. I looked it up, and it says the NFL can't review everything because it would drastically slow down the games. Here is what is reviewed: scoring plays, turnovers, clock issues, complete, incomplete passes, spot of the ball, which is great. But here's my thing. If we can sit home as fans and watch the replay and go, oh, no, that wasn't a hold. Ooh, that wasn't a pass interference. That was a catch. If we can see it, they can see it. And you know what wouldn't slow down the games? If they just do the eye in the sky, calls down to the ref, says, yep, we just watched the replay just like every single NFL fan did, and it is pretty clear that is not a pass interference. Pick it up and let's go. Or it is. Because I'm so tired of these guys, these players, these fans, these coaches, these teams. Their fate is resting on a terrible call or no call by the referees. And I'm not saying get rid of referees. I'm saying if the technology exists for us to see everything and get it right, do it. And it can't possibly make the game any longer than it already is. And I'd rather it be longer and get it right than this garbage. You know, it would be like me driving home in a rainstorm and going, well, I could use my windshield wipers, but why? Now, that gets me into the next thing, which is very exciting. They are going to be addressing a few key important things in the next CBA. And one of the main things is refereeing. The very thing I'm talking about. Please, Santa, can we make this CBA happen? Among the changes that the league is bargaining for with this CBA is rewarding performance to referees so that only high-performing game officials share in the year-end bonus period. More flexibility in postseason assignments. The current CBA weighs seniority as a factor in determining postseason assignments. Can't believe they didn't already do that. The league believes the best performing officials should be on the field during the postseason. No shit, how is that not a thing yet? A longer probationary period to assess new officials, to gain flexibility in removing those who are underperforming. Again, how is that not already a thing? Increased training and development for probationary and low-performing officials. Should have been done forever ago. Creating a practice squad. The league says it's considering increasing the number of games officials to develop a deeper bench. The last officiating lockout was in 2012 and lasted 110 days, ending after 3 weeks of controversial calls by replacement refs. Remember that? Just disaster. I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to crap on these people. They have a very tough job. Officials have a very, very hard job. There's no doubt about it. But if we have all this technology that can assist them, you don't have to take them out of the game, but we can make sure we get the game right. And I really don't think it's going to take that long because we've seen things call from the sky above, the league office. It's pretty quick. Let's make it happen. All right, and last but not least, I want to throw up a poll. I don't want to throw up, but I want to throw up a poll on social media, on our socials at Good News York. I'm not going to do sweatpants selection of the week this week because I want to do, what was a worst Colts blunder? Was it signing Jeff Saturday out of the blue, who had never coached in the NFL before? Or was it the recent signing of Phillip Rivers off of the couch, complete with his bag of potato chips? I love this story about Phillip Rivers. Absolutely, who doesn't? It's a redemption story. We love that. In fact, I think Rivers, the minute he took the first snap this season when he came back, should already win Comeback Player of the Year just by taking one snap in the NFL. And man, it's not going to happen, but how glorious would it be if that man comes back, never won a Super Bowl, being as great as he is and was, comes back and leads the Colts to the Super Bowl at 44. It would be the greatest story of all time. But my poll to you is, worst blunder, hiring Jeff Saturday or hiring Phillip Rivers? And with that, it is Mike Brindisi saying goodbye to you on this holiday week. GNY Sports is a side quest of Good News York. You can follow our comedy, current events, news podcast, Good News York, as well as GNY Sports on all of our socials at Good News York, goodnewsyork.com. And you can follow me on all socials at Mike B TV. We will see you next week. Oh.